When you go to a website, let's say you're purchasing something online, and you need to enter your payment details, things like your credit card number, maybe your billing address, the last thing that you would want is for that to end up in the wrong hands. But the moment that you hit submit, that information is zipping across the internet. So, how can you be sure that it makes its way safely to the merchant, and only the merchant, without some hacker or threat actor intercepting it along the way? Well, this is one of the most fundamental problems in cybersecurity, because payment details, passwords, private messages, sensitive photos, and this type of information gets intercepted and compromised all of the time. So what's the solution? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out. Today, we're going to have a very special guest coming in, my good friend Derek. Because believe it or not, Derek was actually a former spy. Which means he's really good at getting messages across without anyone else knowing about them. Derek? What the heck, man? Where am I?
That's not something you need to know. But I heard you had some questions for me.
Well, this is pretty unnecessary, but yeah, okay, we can pretend like this didn't just happen. Hypothetically, suppose you didn't just kidnap me and I wanted to safely and securely send you messages like a normal person. What are some things about encryption that I should know about?
Well, when it comes to encryption, there are two types that people should be familiar with: symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. So let's suppose that you and I want to share something valuable, a secret, between us, without anyone else being able to see it.
Like spies?
Yes, like spies.
Can we have spy names?
Sure. You'll be Alice, and I'll be Bob.
I'm Alice. Nice.
With symmetric encryption, what we would do in theory is place this note into this case, along with this combination lock, and then share the combination with each other. If, as I'm sliding the box over to you and someone intercepts it, they wouldn't be able to open it because they don't have the combination. This is essentially symmetric encryption. Both sides have the same key, which is used to lock and unlock the data. And in this case, the key is the combination to the lock. In the digital world, that key is not a number you spin on a dial, but a piece of data used to encrypt your information on one end and decrypt it on the other.
Right, that makes sense, and it seems pretty fast and efficient. So what's the problem? Why do we even have asymmetric encryption when we can just do this?
So there's one big problem with symmetric encryption. Before we can send our secret messages to each other, you and I need to know the combination for this lock. We both need to have the key. But the problem is, at some point, we would have to share the information with each other. If we just tell each other the combination, somebody might overhear it. This is what's called in cybersecurity the key distribution problem.
Right. Okay, so the problem with symmetric encryption is that we wouldn't be able to reliably and securely share the key between us to even have that secure line of communication. Like if I were to say, the combination is 921, there's always a chance that someone might overhear us. So if we told each other the combination and someone overheard us, someone could theoretically intercept our message during transit and read it.
Right.
Okay, I see the problem. So then what's asymmetric encryption?
In asymmetric encryption, instead of there being just one key, there's two keys. And these two keys are mathematically linked, which means that they are generated together as a pair. But they aren't exactly the same, and they don't do the same job. When they get generated, one of them gets designated as something called a public key, and the other one becomes the private key.
And what does that mean? What's the difference between a public key and a private key?
So instead of using this combination lock and having to share this combination with each other, what we'll do instead is use this padlock. So I'll slide this case and padlock unshackled to you. The unshackled padlock is the public key. And I'm not going to give you a copy of the key that unlocks the padlock because that's my private key.
Wait, so that sounds a bit confusing. Like, I get that a key is a key. Like, the key to your padlock is your private key. But what I don't understand is how a padlock itself is also a key, and in this case, a public key?
So it does sound a bit counterintuitive, but here's the thing. In encryption, a key is considered anything that controls access to information. This key represents the private key. It unlocks the padlock and gives access to the information inside the case. The padlock represents the public key. Anyone can snap the padlock shut, just like how anyone can use a public key to encrypt a message. But once it's locked, only the matching private key can open it. And that's the magic of asymmetric cryptography. One key locks the information, and a different but related key unlocks it.
Okay, that makes sense. So what am I doing? I'm putting a message in and then locking it with your public key and then sending it back?
Exactly. So now, if for some reason someone intercepted this case on its way back to me, they wouldn't be able to open it. The only person who can open this case is me, because remember, only I have the key to it.
Okay, well, this seems to work. If we're just sending messages to each other, why don't we just do this and forget symmetric encryption? I'll send you my own unshackled padlock, and you send your own unshackled padlock. Seems to solve the key distribution problem, right? There's no key sharing, so there's no chance for anyone to steal our keys.
Yes, in theory, that would work. But in practice, asymmetric encryption is quite slow. The math involved is complex. The keys are usually large, and every message encrypted this way requires significant computational effort. So it's okay if you just want to send one small thing, but imagine if we had to communicate by sending our own padlocks and cases for every message.
Okay, yeah, I can see how that's pretty slow. So if the symmetric encryption allows for faster transmission of messages and data but has the key distribution problem, and asymmetric encryption solves that problem but takes a much longer time to do, is there no option that would both solve the key distribution problem and also be fast and efficient?
Well, there is a hybrid solution, which is to use both symmetric and asymmetric encryption. First, I'm going to use the asymmetric encryption approach. I'm going to slide this unshackled padlock to you. Next, you'll put your message into a case.
Okay, so message in a case? Do I use your padlock to lock it up now?
No. Now you're going to lock that case with your own combination lock.
My own combination lock? But then how are you going to know the combination for it?
I'll know it because you'll put the case into another case along with the combination to the lock. This is our symmetric encryption key.
Right, okay, so you want me to lock up this case with my own combination lock, and then you want me to write the combination and put it all in a case. So the lock goes into the case and the combination goes right next to it? That seems kind of unsafe to have the combination to the lock sitting next to the lock itself.
That's true, but now you lock everything up with the padlock that I just gave you.
Right, okay, I get what you're saying. So once I lock this with your padlock or public key, I can send this whole thing back to you, and then only you can open it.
Exactly. And now that I have the case, I use my private key to open up the padlock and read the combination that you sent me.
Okay, got it. So now that we both know the same combination, that means we've successfully shared a key. So next time we send cases back and forth, we can go back to the symmetric encryption approach and use a lock with a shared key, or in this case, combination.
Precisely. But we'll use the same symmetric key for this session only. The next time we communicate securely, a different symmetric key is used, or in this case, a different combination number. In other words, for each new session, a different symmetric key is used, and these are called session keys.
So then is the asymmetric encryption part just for getting the symmetric key across safely?
In this instance, yes. The asymmetric public key is used to safely communicate the single key that's used in symmetric encryption. By doing this, we've solved the key distribution problem. And now, we can safely use symmetric encryption moving forward to solve the speed issue that asymmetric encryption has.
Wow, okay, that's genius. I get this in terms of cases and locks, but can I try to explain this in the context of how it would look like if I was browsing online and you just tell me if I'm hitting the mark?
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. So, let's just say I open my browser and I go to an online store. When I land on that website, the store's server is going to use asymmetric encryption, and it will send my browser a copy of its public key, which from our earlier example is like the open padlock, all the while hanging on to its private key. So, a copy of the public key goes to me, and the store's server keeps the private key secret and for itself. How am I doing so far?
So far, so good.
Okay, awesome. So, my browser receives a copy of the public key, and at the same time, it will also generate a session key that will be used in symmetric encryption later. My browser then uses the public key that the store server sent to it to encrypt a copy of that session key, and then it sends the encrypted session key back to the store's server. And this is so that if anyone intercepts the session key on its path back to the server, they wouldn't be able to decrypt it and view it. Is that right?
That's correct. And I should mention that this is actually a bit dated, but this is how it worked for TLS version 1.2. But as of TLS 1.3, your browser and the store's server would use the public key and a special key exchange protocol to securely agree on a secret key rather than sending it. But for the purpose of this lesson and how symmetric and asymmetric encryption can work together, the way that you're describing it is still correct.
Perfect. So then after the store server receives the encrypted session key, it will then use its private key to decrypt the message and reveal the copy of the session key. Then from that point forward, everything that I send to the store, like my payment details, my address, my login, all of it gets encrypted and decrypted using the session key in symmetric encryption. And the store server can use its own copy of the same session key to encrypt and send anything back to me. And then my browser can then decrypt it using the session key and then encrypt another message with the session key, and so on and so forth.
That's exactly right. And you've just described a TLS handshake. That is the process your browser goes through every single time you connect to a secure website. And the whole thing takes a fraction of a second.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Derek, and thank you for helping us understand encryption.
No problem, Charlie.
So should I just let myself out?
No need.
Wait, what?